Good morning, everyone. I apologize for any blur, but I wanted to continue with my second part of my 10 favorite Sonic comic stories, because like I said, it's kind of a response or pre-response to Mixed Fan 8643, because apparently this weekend he's going to do his own little countdown, if you will, to his favorites. So part 2 you'll be able to see, and part 1 you'll be able to see. So first, and I apologize for any wind or anything in that video was done outside. But here we have part 2, and you know, with any countdown, it's hard to kind of decipher what is good and what is not. But and you could see that in my first video. So, but let's get going with number 5 here and see if maybe we can play a little of Devil's. Well, not Devil's. But let's see if we can play a little. Let's play around a little bit with it and see what we get, basically. I'm a little tired. I just woke up a little while ago, so I apologize. But to me, number 5, I would have to go with issue 200 to, I believe, not issue 200, but yeah, 200 is part of it, but I think about issue 198 to issue 200, basically the build to it. You see, this is an example of how sometimes an anniversary issue is used as a climax to a story, whether it's a short story arc or not. And it's an example of how you build towards another chapter, another era in your comic, if you will. And to me, it's really just, I think it's very well done to me. I mean, again, you may not like Ian Flynn, but to me he did a decent job here with these 3 issues. I mean, basically you have the Freedom Fighters saying, you know, enough's, and you know, the Freedom Fighters, you know, led by Sally and Sonic, and you know, they're basically like, you know, enough's enough. We've had it with this guy. He basically attacked us, tried to wipe out our life energy, tried to wipe out our brain functions with his egg grapes. He destroyed our longtime home of Knothole Village. You know, and basically, you know, it's like, enough's enough. We're not gonna wait for him to take the fight to us. We're gonna take the fight to him, and we're gonna end this. And I like that. I like how he made that happen. It's basically like they wanted to. Basically, it's like, we're gonna take the fight to this guy, and we're gonna end it right here and now. Now, they did have a bit of a connection to Sonic Universe in the first story arc, which involved Shadow. They sort of had that connection, but I don't think that was mentioned, because I read all the issues. I don't think they mentioned that, but it was sort of a side story for the Sonic Universe issues. So it connected to that in some ways. But overall, though, to me, it was basically very well done. I mean, you got everybody involved. You had some great action sequences in the panels. I mean, just tremendous. Everybody got a shot in. Everybody got to fight. Everybody got, like I said, the moments. Just very well done. And the end of it was just something you really didn't see coming. I mean, here you have a villain, an antagonist, and Dr. Eggman, Robotnik, whatever you want to call him. And here you have someone that 25 to 24 issues ago, basically wiped out Knothole Village, Knothole Kingdom, Knothole Village, whatever you call it, and with ease zapped and teleported a majority of everybody into his egg grapes. And again, here's a guy that 25, 24 issues before that was gloating, going like, yeah, it was easy to beat you guys, and just shave it's over. I mean, not just playing with you guys, blah, blah, blah. Basically acting like the whole thing was a game and he just wanted to finally finish it. And now, all of a sudden, 24, 25 issues later, here you have him fighting against Sonic. You have him being defeated in like the first issue or so of this, in the first issue or so of this three-parter, in his Phoenix bot, or his Phoenix Firebird bot, or vehicle. And then you have him being defeated in his Scorpion-like vehicle. And then the ending is, like I said, something I don't think anybody saw coming, which basically you have Eggman flipping out. He's basically starting to just crack. And I'll give Ian this. You didn't see it coming, but you knew it was coming. You just didn't think it was going to come this soon. Because it seems that, and here's where you can connect these three issues with the 175 to 177 three-parter. It's almost like towards the end, when the Freedom Fighters and the Chaotix are tearing up this robot that was made specifically for Sonic, to fight against Sonic. Here you kind of see the beginning stages of Eggman losing it, and slowly but surely, and issue by issue, you see the moments where he starts to crack a little bit. And the closer we got to 200, you start to see it a little bit more. You just didn't think it was going to finally escalate to where it would finally he would just flip, and that's it. And that's exactly what happened. He just finally lost his mind. He just broke. So, and again, the build-up, and the little bit of tiny build-up to that moment, even though you didn't think it was going to happen that soon, I thought it was good. Which adds to even better as to why this is a good story and why it's number 5 on the list. And because, like I said, again, it also, at the end, gives you the beginning of a new chapter, a new era in the comics. So that is why, to me, 198 to 200 is one of the best, is number 5 on this list. One of the better issues Ian Flynn has done. Number 4, I have to go with the Princess Sally miniseries. Yeah, I know some people might say, oh, you're just saying that because you like Sally. Well, yeah, I like Sally, but the way it was written was good. I mean, you remember when I talked about how issue 29 could have been done Remember, okay, if you watch part 1. When you listen to what I have to say there, I said issue 29 had a very Sad AM-like feel. The Princess Sally miniseries had a great Sad AM feel. And again, remember, this was before internet really started to take off, so you didn't really know what was going to happen. Nobody could spoil it for you with pictures or synopsis or spoilers or anything like that yet. But here's the thing. The story was very well done, and the build-up to it was good. I mean, you took basically backstory issues from like 17 and 18 to help build up to it. You took stories after that, other backstories after that. I think it was, 17 and 18, you built towards it. There's no doubt about it. You took a 48-page special, the very first 48-page special, Sonic in Your Face, to build towards it. And now, here you are. And it was very well done. I mean, to me, being one of their first spin-offs miniseries, one of the first spin-off miniseries comics, was very well done. Being one of the first, not the first, one of the first. But it was very well done. I mean, when you take a look at how it was written, the pacing, the unpredictability, I mean, you knew right from the start, well, not right from the start, but as you were reading it progressively, that this was a very good story. And only if you were an avid comic book reader and you had seen these kind of stories before, you would already have known something was up. Because the biggest clue that I think kind of threw anybody off was the fact that Sally had different colored vests. You had Sally with a purple vest and a traditional blue vest. And that was really, really unique on Ken Pender's part to kind of throw us off with that, because we, unless we were an avid comic book fan and avid comic book reader of every comic book out there, you wouldn't have guessed that something was up. And then the way they ended it on the first issue was good, because it made you think, what in the world? That's how I felt. I'm like, what in the world? And it was very well done. I love the pacing in it. I love the development of Sally's character. I love the development, believe it or not, of Jeffrey's character at the time. Kind of really making you wonder whose side he was on. And it was just great. Just very well written. I guess you could say it was at a time, as some people would say, before Ken Penders went cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Yeah, it was before a time he went like that, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was really good, and that's why I chose it as number 4 on this list. It was very, very well paced, very well written. The artwork was good. The artwork on the covers was good. I mean, what more can you ask for? And it proves, basically, that if done right, one of these characters, whether it's a Sally, an Amy Rose, a Tails, a Knuckles again, maybe, a Blaze, a Bunny Rabbit, an Antoine, they could all hold their own comic book stories. Why do you think they have Sonic Universe now? So, again, I thought it was very well done. I thought it was good, and I hope someday they go back to doing this, not just with Sonic Universe, but with other stories as well. Number 3, to me, has to be Bunny and Antoine's Wedding, 174. Actually, the build to it, which was at the very end of 172, then you had what happened at the beginning of 173, and then 174. I thought it was good. Now, I know some people might say it was rushed, and true. Maybe it was in a sense, but I thought it was good. And when you think about it, since issue 47 till then, it's a long time coming. Very long time coming. I mean, basically, over 125 issues. And all the BS they went through, that writers like Penders and Bowlers put them through, all that BS, this, when you think about it, this was worthwhile. This was worth it. This made up for it in one issue. Made up for it. You know why? Because to me, it's one of the better stories out there. Even for one issue, one of the better ones. And again, you can't just say you could say it was rushed, but you know what? How long had that relationship been going? Through ups and downs and all that. Too long. 125. Over 125 issues. 127 to be exact. It's been taking that long. Now, I know originally when Ken Penders wanted to go in this direction, go this route, he wanted to have them get married in issue 200. I can understand that completely, because it's an anniversary issue and you want to make the wedding look as spectacular and as extravagant as you can, so it ranks up there with some of the best comic book weddings out there. And that's okay. I can understand that. Maybe you had a special cover plan for it. Who knows? But to me, even if you consider it being rushed, I thought 174, that Buddy and Antoine's wedding was well done, was written well. It led into a great three-parter, and I also have on this countdown, at the end of it, or as you progressed and everything in the story. But still, the wedding overall was very well done. It was well executed. You had all characters in there in the audience in one panel, Dulcie included. You even had Ian Flynn sneak a little cameo in there with his version, if you will, or version, not fusion, but version, if you will. Sneak that in there. So, or his Sonic character version of himself. So, overall, I thought it was very well done. And the build, and you could say it was rushed all you want, but you got to remember, it's been built. It's something that's been building and building and building and building, ups and downs, building and building and building for exactly 127 issues. And to me, it was worth it. I'm glad Ian Flynn kept them together even after the soft retcon / soft reboot. So I am glad about that. I really am. So that is why it's number 3 on this list. Think of it. Yeah. Number 2. Wow. I think it's number 2, right? I forgot. Well, the next one on the list, basically, I know some people hate it. I like it. I thoroughly enjoy it. Mobius Years Later. And I mean all of it. Now, you might say Ken Penders was a little out of it. Ken Penders was just using this as a platform for his own kind of stuff. And that might be true. That might be true. He did kind of have a platform maybe for his own stories. You know, and the thing is, whether you like Ken or not, in his defense, sort of in his defense, not entirely, he's not the only writer that has done this in history. There have been several writers that will use other properties to catapult to their own ideas, to catapult to their own properties. So, it's not the first. It's not the first time, folks. It's not. So, to me, yeah, this is number 2. See, like I said, I'm a little tired, so I apologize. But to me, Mobius Years Later was, I just thought it was very well written. I know some people, like Mixed Fan, might find it to be boring, and there's others that like that. But you know what? Sometimes those kind of stories are good. It's nice to see characters in a more sort of a more peaceful time. But as we saw evident at the end of the first part of Mobius Years Later, and going into the second part, which Ian Flynn, give him credit, he did continue. Not everything is peaceful, and I like how they continued it. I like the fact that you had certain characters like Sonic, you had certain characters like Lala Sue, Knuckles, Tails, in a sense, well, mostly Tails, Sally, Shadow. And Shadow being involved in this, that was a surprise to me, I'll give you that. You know, Lynn Dog, even though in the future she gets wiped out, right? But she gets wiped out by Shadow. You know, you have all these characters basically knowing somewhat of the previous timeline. I like how that worked out. I really did. And I love how Ian Flynn, now, again, you can say Ian Flynn was just picking up where Ken Penders left off. If Ian Flynn didn't really want to have anything to do with Ken Penders' story arc, he wouldn't have put Lala Sue in the heroic save hero mode. But he did. he put her in that moment. And it was great. And I like how you basically have Sally and Sonic get back together right then and there, because it's like you knew Sally never really loved Shadow. She only married him for the sake of the kingdom. And that was it. So I like how that continued on. And then, even though I haven't read much of it, I like how they continued on with Mobius 30 years later. I like that continuation. I like the fact that it takes place 5 years after the events of Mobius 25 years later. I like the fact that it starts focusing on a new group of freedom fighters. We finally get to see the kids of the freedom fighters. We finally get to see Bunny and Antoine's kids, who some people question how the heck did that even happen. You know, we see Vector's kid, and we find out that him and Lala Sue might have a relationship together. We see Sonya and Manic, now younger, being babysitted by Lala Sue, who they consider as the favorite babysitter, because I guess she likes to play games with them or something. Or even though they kind of drive up the wall at times, she has to use her chaos powers to put them to bed. So again, I thought the continuation was very well done. I like how it's sort of like a passing of the torch towards the new generation. I like how they involved Tikal in this and kind of gave the backstory of how the only way she could prevent Chaos from going perfect again is to basically merge with him, and thus she becomes, I guess you could say, a goo girl version of herself that, if with too much energy, becomes perfect Chaos. So, just overall, a very well done story arc in general, from beginning to end. And maybe someday down the line we might see a continuation. So that's why I think number 2 belongs to Mobius years later. I know some people might argue with that, but hey, that's my opinion. You know, and I understand why people, you know, and I can understand why we don't have Mobius years later right now anymore. Not only because it is part of Ken Pender's property, in a sense, some of the characters that is, but also the fact that Penders has even indicated that if you're going to use this again, please make it canon. And basically people like Ian Flynn and several others out there feel that if it's canon, it gives away what happens in the future and what's the point of the comic. But I like it overall, so hopefully we'll see more similar to it in the future. Number one really shouldn't come as much as a surprise. In fact, it's going to be a tie here, just in case I missed a number in this first part, and I'm considering this anyway. But tied at number 1, the first number 1 is the Sonic Adventure adaptation. I mean, holy moly, if you will. You talk about adapting and making a comic seem big, just like the game, or making a story adapted from the game seem as big as the game itself. Archie did it here. There's no doubt they did it here. I mean, from basically issue 78, I believe, all the way to issue 85, plus a 48-page original super special stuck in the middle. It's like, what more could you ask for? This was tremendous. And I thought they adapted the game in their own way very well. And, you know, just like with issue 29 and its co-number 1 headliner, it felt like it was something that, if done correctly, could have been put into a Sat AM episode, mixed in with a little Sonic X, but put into a Sat AM-like episode. So I think the Sonic Adventure adaptation was very well done. I love how they basically wanted to make it feel ginormous, just like the game itself at the time. So, good job on their part, and that is why it's tied at number 1, headlining at number 1, along with, no surprise to anybody, Endgame. I know some people, like you, Mix fan, don't like Endgame. You feel it was dull. You feel it was not right. You feel there was a lot of things wrong with it. Here's the thing, though. This is a story that's been building for a long time. Get what I'm saying? It was a story that essentially, if you look at the clues and stuff throughout the earlier issues, was building toward this point. You could say things were done wrong and written wrong, and that's fine, that's your opinion. But to me, I thought it was good, because it caught a lot of people off guard. Everybody thought, okay, in issue 47, everybody pretty much thought Sally was dead. Then Ken Penders had said, that's it, Sally's gone. But she wasn't. And yes, because of Sega, and because of the fans, she was brought back. And yeah, like I said, the reason she was brought back was because of merchandise reasons. Because of the possibility, at the time, they had the Sonic in Sydney Live, Australia, Sonic's Live in Sydney, stage show in Sydney, Australia, in the Sega World theme park, indoor theme park. They had that. That's probably one of the reasons. But still, it caught a lot of people off guard. No one saw that coming. And yeah, some people might critique and say that the way she was brought back was very Snow White-like, Sleeping Beauty-like, and you know what? That's fine. Okay, you could critique that, but to me, I thought it was all right. I thought it was okay. I mean, and just the way it was done. Here you have Sonic being accused of something he didn't do. You have a character that's thought she was ridding the Freedom Fighters of one of the more hated enemies in Snively, but then finds out that she was manipulated, and that's Hershey, who from this beginning and all the way through, up until recently, had her own fan base and cult following. You had Hershey be introduced here, and you had her redeem herself sort of at the end. You had the revelation that one of the Freedom Fighters, at least one of the Wolfpack Freedom Fighters, Drago, was a traitor, especially if you look at issue like 46 or something like that. So overall, it was just very well done. I mean, the clues and stuff were there. The clues and stuff, they were all there. I mean, everything was just done right. I mean, you had the introduction of Dr. Quack, the full introduction, I should say. You had, like I said, the introduction of Hershey. I mean, the story was just huge. It was just huge. And then you find out that it involved the Down Under Freedom Fighters. I mean, hold on for a second. Never mind, that's just a 1-800 service. But anyway, it involved all these characters. I mean, this thing was so big that in the second story of the Super Special, Return of the King, the original Super Special, Return of the King, you had them dedicate a side story to Buddy and Antoine and getting out of the Down Under prison camp, along with the help of the Down Under Freedom Fighters. You had a director's cut done. You had a director's cut done as well for a Super Special, of what was originally supposed to be all together. So, I mean, that's how good this story was, and that's how good a lot of people look at it, because there were things they didn't see coming. You had Sonic basically